Kierkegaard's Cure for Anxiety: How to Live Authentically Today. Have you ever felt like you're living someone else's life? Like no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, something deep inside keeps whispering, "This isn't really you." You wake up every morning, following a routine, checking boxes, meeting expectations, your parents, your friends, your boss, society at large. And somewhere along the way, your own voice has grown quieter, almost drowned out entirely. Søren Kierkegaard, the 19th century philosopher often called the father of existentialism, understood this feeling better than anyone. Long before self-help books, motivational podcasts, or therapy apps existed, he explored a question that still haunts us today. Are you living authentically, or are you living the life others expect of you? In this video, we're going to dive deep into Kierkegaard's wisdom, not the abstract, dusty kind, but the real, human insights that can guide you toward living authentically today. We'll uncover why anxiety isn't a flaw, but a signal. We'll explore practical ways to reclaim your freedom, confront your fears, and start shaping a life that's truly yours. By the end, you'll have a roadmap, not for someone else's life, but for your own. So take a deep breath, and let's begin.
Anxiety isn't just a feeling, it's a signal. Kierkegaard called it the dizziness of freedom, that strange mix of fear and possibility that hits us when we realize we're not bound to a predetermined path. Unlike fear, which has a clear object, a snake, a falling cliff, a looming deadline, anxiety is more abstract. It hovers around, whispering that something could go wrong, that you might make the wrong choice, that you might fail yourself. Think about it. How often do you scroll through social media and feel a quiet unease? You see friends climbing the career ladder, others traveling the world, achieving milestones, posting smiles that feel effortless. And yet, deep inside, you wonder if your own life is missing something, if the life you're living is really yours. That unease is not a flaw. It's an invitation. Kierkegaard argued that this anxiety arises because we are free. We are free to choose, free to create, free to define who we are. And freedom, as exhilarating as it sounds, can also feel paralyzing. When every decision has weight, when every choice could shape your identity, it's natural to hesitate. It's natural to feel dizzy. This is not weakness, it's consciousness awakening. He also distinguished between inauthentic anxiety and authentic anxiety. Inauthentic anxiety comes from hiding behind societal expectations, following the herd, living a life scripted by others. Authentic anxiety, on the other hand, emerges when you confront yourself, when you face the terrifying truth that your life is yours to define. And with that realization comes responsibility, but also opportunity. This is the first step toward living authentically, recognizing anxiety not as an enemy, but as a guide. It's a signal that you're at a crossroads, that the life you're currently living may not be the one you're meant to inhabit. Instead of pushing it away, you can lean in, sit with it, feel it. Ask yourself, what choices am I avoiding? Which parts of myself am I ignoring? In the modern world, anxiety often disguises itself as busyness, distraction, or comparison. But Kierkegaard reminds us, underneath all that noise, anxiety is trying to wake you up. It's your own inner compass urging you to step off the treadmill, to pause, and to start asking the questions that really matter.
Now that we've explored the nature of anxiety, it's time to ask a deeper question. What does it mean to live authentically? Kierkegaard believed that the antidote to anxiety isn't escaping it, but using it as a guide, a compass pointing toward your true self. Authenticity, in his view, is not just being honest or true in the abstract. It's the courageous act of embracing your individuality, your passions, your values, and making life choices that reflect them, even in the face of fear or social pressure. At its core, authenticity requires awareness. You must recognize when your actions, habits, or decisions are dictated by others, parents, friends, society, or cultural norms, rather than by what resonates with your inner self. This is where much of our anxiety originates, from the tension between who we are expected to be and who we actually are. Kierkegaard called this the despair of not being oneself, a silent crisis that many live with unknowingly. But authenticity is more than self-awareness. It's about deliberate choice. Kierkegaard emphasized that each individual has the responsibility to choose themselves. This doesn't mean reckless independence or selfishness. It means examining your life, identifying where conformity has crept in, and then consciously deciding which aspects truly belong to you. Even small choices, a career shift, a new hobby, setting boundaries, are acts of authenticity that slowly realign your life with your inner values. Authenticity also demands courage. It requires stepping out of comfort zones and enduring moments of judgment, misunderstanding, or rejection. But Kierkegaard believed that these risks are essential. They are the price of freedom. Without facing them, we remain trapped in anxiety and the life scripts imposed by others. The process is often gradual, an ongoing practice of listening to your inner voice and acting on it, even when the world pushes back. In practical terms, living authentically transforms anxiety from an enemy into a signal. It tells you where you are living inauthentically, where your energy is scattered, and where change is needed. By leaning into these moments, rather than avoiding them, you align yourself with your true potential, your passions, and your purpose. Ultimately, Kierkegaard's vision of authenticity is both liberating and empowering. It is a reminder that while anxiety is inevitable, it can guide us toward a life that is genuinely our own, a life lived consciously, courageously, and fully.
Now that we understand the nature of authenticity, let's turn theory into action. Kierkegaard didn't just offer ideas, he offered a path, practical steps that anyone can take to start living more authentically today. And the beautiful part? These steps are simple, but they require honesty, reflection, and courage. The first step is self-reflection. Take time to examine your daily choices, habits, and routines. Ask yourself, which of these actions feel genuinely mine, and which are borrowed from someone else's expectations? Journaling can be incredibly helpful here. Write freely, without judgment, and notice patterns, moments when you feel drained, anxious, or resentful. Those feelings often indicate areas where your life isn't aligned with your true self. Next comes setting boundaries. Kierkegaard emphasized that authenticity requires protecting your inner life. This might mean saying no to commitments that don't serve you, limiting exposure to people or media that pressure you to conform, or carving out time for activities that nourish your values and passions. Boundaries aren't selfish. They are the framework within which your authentic self can thrive. The third step is making deliberate choices. Every day presents opportunities to choose in alignment with your true self. This can be as small as selecting a project that excites you rather than one that looks good to others, or as significant as pursuing a career change that aligns with your passions. Kierkegaard saw these choices as acts of courage,
the small rebellions against the herd mentality that accumulate into a life uniquely yours. Another vital practice is embracing discomfort. Living authentically is rarely comfortable. You may feel fear, doubt, or even loneliness as you step away from expectations and external validation. Kierkegaard called this the dizziness of freedom, a natural tension that arises when you claim your individuality. Lean into it, accept it as part of the process, not a sign of failure. Finally, cultivate presence and awareness. Pay attention to your emotions, reactions, and impulses. When anxiety surfaces, don't push it away. Instead, explore what it is signaling about your life's alignment with your true self. Use it as a guide to adjust your choices, reconnect with your values, and stay on course toward authenticity. By integrating these steps, self-reflection, boundaries, deliberate choices, embracing discomfort, and presence, you begin to live intentionally. Anxiety no longer feels like a curse. It becomes a compass, guiding you toward a life that is truly yours. Kierkegaard reminds us, authenticity isn't a destination, it's a practice, cultivated moment by moment, choice by choice. Understanding authenticity also requires grappling with the twin pillars of freedom and responsibility. Kierkegaard believed that to live genuinely, we must first recognize the radical freedom each of us possesses and the weight it carries. Freedom isn't just the ability to choose, it's the responsibility to choose in alignment with our own values, even when the world pressures us to conform. Imagine standing at a crossroads. One path is safe, approved by society and applauded by everyone around you. The other is uncertain, lonely, and filled with risk, but it resonates with your inner voice. Kierkegaard would argue that the courage to take that second path is what makes life authentic. Freedom without responsibility is meaningless. Responsibility without freedom is oppressive. Together, they form the essence of living consciously. This leads to a crucial insight. Anxiety is part of freedom. When we realize we are free to shape our own lives, the weight of that choice can feel overwhelming. Kierkegaard called this existential anxiety, the awareness that nothing external dictates who we are or who we must become. Rather than fearing this anxiety, we can embrace it as a signal that we are engaging with life on a deeply personal level. It's a compass pointing toward authenticity. Responsibility also means owning the consequences of our choices. When we act in accordance with our values, we cannot blame society, family, or peers if things go wrong. Every decision is ours alone. And this ownership is both terrifying and liberating. Kierkegaard reminds us that avoiding responsibility might feel safe, but it leads to a life of quiet despair, a life dictated by others, not chosen by you. Finally, freedom and responsibility are not abstract concepts, they are lived experiences. They manifest in the small decisions. Choosing honesty over convenience, solitude over social pressure, and meaning over comfort. The more consistently we exercise our freedom responsibly, the more confident and grounded we become in our own identity. Kierkegaard's wisdom teaches us that freedom is not a gift to be taken lightly. It is intertwined with the duty to live authentically. Each act of self-directed choice, no matter how small, is a declaration of independence from the herd, a step toward the life that truly belongs to you. The courage to embrace freedom and the responsibility it demands is the foundation upon which anxiety transforms into purpose and potential into actualization.
Living authentically, as Kierkegaard teaches, isn't about a single grand decision.
It's about the daily practice of aligning your life with your inner self. The challenge is not theoretical, it's practical. Every morning, every interaction, every choice presents an opportunity to step closer to authenticity or slip back into the comfort of conformity. Start with small, deliberate actions. Notice how often your decisions are influenced by the expectations of others, your friends, your family, your coworkers, or even social media. Kierkegaard would encourage you to pause and ask, am I acting out of my own conviction or simply following the crowd? This reflection doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as choosing a project that excites you rather than one that earns approval, or speaking your honest opinion in a conversation instead of agreeing to avoid conflict. Journaling is another powerful tool. Spend a few minutes each day writing down your thoughts, feelings, and desires. Identify where anxiety arises, especially when it signals that you're living in tension with your authentic self. Labeling this anxiety as a signal of freedom rather than a problem reframes it as a guide rather than a burden. Over time, these reflections illuminate patterns, helping you recognize where your choices align or clash with who you truly are. Kierkegaard also emphasizes embracing solitude. Authenticity thrives in quiet moments, free from the noise of external judgment. Daily periods of introspection, whether a morning walk, meditation, or simply sitting in silence, allow you to hear your inner voice clearly. It's in these spaces that you practice listening to yourself, cultivating courage, and making conscious choices. Integration also involves cultivating responsible courage. Authentic living doesn't mean reckless rebellion. It means acknowledging the consequences of your choices and standing by them. When you act in line with your values, you might disappoint others or encounter resistance, but each act strengthens your sense of self and deepens your trust in your own judgment. Finally, authenticity is habitual, not occasional. Kierkegaard reminds us that life is composed of moments, and the consistent practice of conscious decision-making gradually transforms anxiety into empowerment. Each day, choose to notice, to reflect, to act intentionally. Each choice becomes a building block, constructing a life that is unmistakably yours. By integrating Kierkegaard's wisdom into daily routines, you cultivate resilience, clarity, and a sense of purpose. You learn that anxiety is not a barrier, but a compass, and freedom is not chaos, but a responsibility to yourself. In living this way, you not only reduce fear, but begin to experience the profound joy of being truly alive, living a life that is authentically, unapologetically your own. So, as we wrap up, remember this: living authentically isn't a destination, it's a daily choice. Kierkegaard teaches us that anxiety is not a curse, but a signal guiding you toward your true self. Start small, listen deeply, act intentionally, and embrace the freedom to be who you are. If this video resonated with you, subscribe and join our journey exploring philosophy, psychology, and personal growth. Comment below with one step you'll take today to live authentically. Let's create a life that's truly ours, one conscious choice at a time.